The encampment has grown steadily over the past month, but on Monday, Vancouver Fire ordered that these tents have to come down, citing growing safety concerns, including a steady increase of fires in the area. Earlier this month, a nearby church on East Hastings burned down.
Why we're so concerned with those areas is the obstruction of exits and entrances into buildings. We've seen structures that are blocking our paths to get there. We've also seen quite a number of propane tanks. Because of the increase in risk to the unhoused people who are in the area, the fire chief's order was issued as a result of that to try to mitigate as much risk to those areas as possible.
Fire crews have responded to more than 800 fires in the area this year.
We are still working with the City of Vancouver and a lot of agencies daily to try to have a balance between mitigating risk and making sure that the needs of the residents and the unhoused are met at the same time.
The city is handing out pamphlets as part of its first phase of the removal, encouraging people to leave, knowing most have nowhere to go.
Matt Brevner for Rebel News in the Vancouver downtown east side, where last Monday, Vancouver Fire Chief Karen Fry said that all of the tents and all the tarp enclosures all along Hastings streets for multiple blocks needed to be removed because of a fire hazard. So, in typical Rebel News fashion, we hit the streets to ask the residents what they think about that. East Hastings, once a vibrant street full of small businesses and storefronts, has become ground zero for Canada's opioid epidemic. For decades, a 3-kilometer stretch of Hastings Street between Clark and Cambie has been notorious for criminal activity, open drug abuse, prostitution, and overdose.
We're live at Oppenheimer Park in Vancouver's downtown east side. The 6 o'clock deadline for campers to pack up their tents and leave the park has just passed, but as you can see, some tents are still up here.
In 2020, the long-standing Oppenheimer Park tent encampment was abruptly dismantled by the city because of the pandemic and fears that the virus would spread throughout the city's homeless population. Oppenheimer Park inhabitants were housed temporarily in hotels and SROs on a 3 to 6 month arrangement and were promised permanent solutions that never came. In recent years, Vancouver's homeless population has set up tent city encampments in different areas of the downtown east side, from Oppenheimer Park to Crab Park to Strathcona Park, and now on the Hastings block itself. It's been 6 years since the BC government has declared the overdose crisis a public emergency. However, the deeply rooted issue has only gotten worse.
By midsummer, the numbers of people who have died since 2016 here in BC will be 10,000.
Overdose deaths skyrocketed during the pandemic province-wide, and the downtown east side has become increasingly dangerous as of late, with violent crime rising in the area.
Decriminalizing possession of small amounts of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamines, yes, that's right. It is a Canadian first. British Columbia has been given the exemption from the federal government to tackle the opioid crisis in a new and to many a very controversial way.
In June, the BC government, in conjunction with the federal government, announced a pilot program which would see small amounts of illicit drugs such as heroin, cocaine, and amphetamines become decriminalized.
Meantime, the NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is saying, you know what? We should make this a national approach to drug decriminalization.
It's shameful, frankly, to not take a national approach to a national crisis.
Although the government insists that the shame and stigma of criminalization is a leading factor contributing to BC's overdose deaths, many addicts argue that this new initiative is tone-deaf and that removing stigma will act as a massive green light to existing addicts to continue to use without incentive to get clean, and also send the wrong message to children.
I moved here from Alberta, so it was definitely a culture shock. I moved here during the pandemic, and in Alberta I had to hide my drugs. I lived in my shed for a few months and I was hiding my drugs, and I came out here and you don't have to hide nothing. It's quite the culture shock. It was really hard to stay clean.
What kind of message do you think this sends to the rest of the world?
That we're not worth fighting for. That we're not worth much.
Many inhabitants of Vancouver's latest tent city iteration would rather live on the street than in shelters, either for lifestyle choice or out of fear of personal safety.
It was the day they were supposed to have the cameras gone, the tents were supposed to be gone.
Yeah, I heard that.
So we're just watching and see too.
Yeah.
Don't know. What can you tell us?
Well, I heard the fire chief basically said that today was supposed to be the day because it's a fire hazard. That church burnt down down the street there, and they've been recovering a bunch of like propane tanks and all that. So they're saying it's literally a fire hazard.
Somebody wrote a letter and put it on the pole down there, actually threatening police. And that's something I've learned over the years. You don't do?
No, you don't do that.
No.
Okay, so I mean, we're trying to figure out. Well, not why all this. Like, what do you think about the fire chief's announcement about?
Not everyone here shares my opinion, but I love it. Because obviously I can see a lot of violence breaking out simply due to the, people's possessions, and everyone always gets stolen down here, so they are getting mad for a reason, but still it's an avoidable situation if I don't know why the VPD decided to stop doing their job. They still beat us and harass us and make up fake charges, but now they can't clean the block.
Right.
I don't know.
So essentially, the fire chief has said that all of the tent encampments here, it's a fire hazard, so they have to get rid of everything. How do you feel about that?
It's very bad because we put it there outside. They don't go out. We tell them to move. He said we have no place to go. I told the police. He said talk to city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good to.
Where do you think they'll go? Where do you think people will go?
There's a place, Venable and Clark.
Yeah.
There's a big open, area.
The park there, yeah.
Park there is better to go there. One place.
Yeah. 'Cause that's where they were in like 2019, right?
2019, exactly. Yeah. So it's better to move from here, or you can go to King George Highway.
Right.
There's more big space, lots of room. And
do you think things have gotten worse since the beginning of the year, since the pandemic, things are worse down here?
Yeah, worse because they come to the store, they steal, cereal, milk. They say, try to bring knives. They give me torch, give me pack smoke, and they're high. They want to fight. They bring the knife out, try to fight.
So you think this is welcome news then that things are being cleaned up?
Yeah, that's right.
They might be hiding propane tanks too, and they're going to get cold.
Right.
They want to warm up, so they're going to heat it up by mistake. Everything starts getting on fire over there, and they can't realize that.
So what do you fellas think a good compromise would be?
Right, get them housing. That's the best compromise I can think of. Make it everybody gets a place, and they all pay the same price.
In a perfect world, yeah.
Right.
Just wasting their time. This is trying to put a scare into people that's not really gonna go down.
Right.
They can't really exactly come down here and kick 200 people off the sidewalk.
Right. Well, where do they expect people to go? Like, what do you think people are going to go?
That'd be the point. Like, what are they going to do with people? There's already one tent city. They're going to open up some new ground or something, get people to go there. I don't know.
Right. Because it was Oppenheimer, and then it was that park just off Venables, and now it's here. So it just seems like people are just playing, hot potato or whatever.
Yeah, I think it should be providing more housing. Actually, myself, there's enough places out there that are vacant. And
yeah.
Honestly, a large portion of the more successful or clean tents with a lot more high-end merchandise, those people already have homes. Like a large portion of the actual merch box has been kind of usurped by people who aren't actually homeless. And I'd say only maybe 10 to 20% of all the people in all the homeless tent cities are actually facing chronic homelessness that they cannot solve.
No kidding, I didn't know that.
Most of the time, it's a choice, right? And quite honestly, I chose to be homeless for a couple of years because I did not want to live in the building that I was in due to the filth and due to the violence that would happen there. So.
Do you think a lot of folks that are down here are BC natives, or they come from all over the country?
All over the place, yeah. From coast to coast. It's really, I'd like to see them in homes, but I don't know if there's housing set up now for them.
Right.
There isn't. There isn't.
No, there isn't.
You need it. A co-op.
Yeah. So basically, the fire chief said today was supposed to be the day that they're going to start.
At least find them someplace that they can put their tents without being threatened or a fire hazard or
check inside their tents.
Human waste is an issue,
like porta potties or something down here.
Yeah.
Well, where do you think people are going to go?
Actually, I hate to say it, but they're starting to use the streets and that in front of the tents. And I mean, even animals And pigs have more common sense than that.
Right.
I don't know. I would like to see them in homes, but
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
there's too many people coming into the city at
If I would
once.
be rich, I would do a co-op right away.
Just start handing out more applications, get people more involved with housing.
Yeah, that's good, bro.
Provide more info on how to do that. Sending us to Carnegie Outreach is, that's a great thing, but that's all you hear. Go to Carnegie, go to Carnegie. Well, we all tried that, and I'm 3 years now homeless, so
something's got to give.
I was one of the first people to get handed an application at Oppenheimer Park. And I'm still out here on the sidewalk, so
You don't live down here, but you've walked through here on a regular basis. Vancouver things, right? So do you think things have changed here for the better or worse over the past couple of years?
I think I don't think things are getting better, but at the same time, I feel like there's a misconception that this is like a lifestyle choice. I think this is a consequence of a few different issues. You know what I mean? And on one hand, like the tents are a little bit wild. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, where are people gonna go? We had the Oppenheimer Park. It was so many people there. Then they had the housing situation. But now, it doesn't change the fact that this is like a landmark situation, right? People from all over the world are kind of coming over here, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of other underlying issues that I think are being swept up.
Do you think things have gotten worse down here since the police have stopped their frequent, on the boots on the ground walkthroughs?
Worse in what sense? I'd say it's gotten better in some sense, but it's just mainly the dirtiness and the unsanitariness, and then the potential fire points of between people's. But it's gone a little bit too far, right? I'd say it's I say that I swear from day one they did this on purpose, because what they did was they wanted to give us enough rope to hang ourselves with it. And quite honestly, that kind of seems like where it's going.
Some people are a little bit concerned that with the decriminalization of illicit substances that's coming January 1st.
That was a stupid one. Hey, didn't you drop the ball with that one? Do you really want your child thinking it's okay to carry around cocaine or heroin or blah, blah, blah? Wow. And that come from members of parliament?
That's crazy.
I'm an addict, but he dropped the ball on that one.
How does that make you feel as an addict?
You'd think I would say, oh, great. But it sickens me to think the little children are going to say, oh, it's okay to carry this stuff around. It's okay to do this. So it's okay to do that. How do you do that? Oh, you inject it. Oh, and once they've injected it once, you've now made an addict.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no turning back. It's hard to turn back. I won't say there's no turning back. It's hard road back.
But if you do, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting to me that they're, fining people for not moving their tents, while at the same time fully decriminalizing all illicit substances as of January 1st.
Well, all I want to know is there's not many places you could go and step over a body to go get a coffee. You know what I mean? That is what's happening right now. Right. This is real life. You know what I mean? If you go down here, you're going to see people laid out. The concrete, that's second, third degree burns. Right. So now what happens? Now it's expensive. Right now I'm paying taxes. Now the medical situation, I can't get in there because there's 4 people over there with their arms falling off. Exactly. So it's just like, you want to move the tents. Listen, I like to walk by, without obstacle, but at the same time, I'm like, where's everybody going to go? Right. And housing doesn't just fix the situation. I think we need a little bit more than just structures or something like that. Because guess what? At the end of the day, people have places and they still come out here. Right.
That's the communal thing. There is a lot of support down here between amongst us, right?
Yeah.
And one of the weird things is even I make the assumption all the time that a lot of people are very low on the IQ scale, but quite honestly, some of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life with university degrees, master's degrees, and whatnot are actually down here.
So what do you think it is about the culture of Vancouver specifically? Because, man, I've been all over the world. I've been to Skid Row. I spent a lot of time on the Lower East Side. Vancouver's world class. It's not like anywhere else in the world. This is the worst by a long shot. Yeah. But what do you think it is that makes Vancouver the way it is?
Well, I think what happened is, have you ever watched The Wire?
Yeah.
Yo, man, they Baltimore'd this situation. They swept it all into one place. It's concentrated. And then also it's the acceptance. If I go and lie down on the concrete anywhere else in this city, there's going to be 3 people helping me up. And what happened is instead of having it spread, you put it in one area, you don't do anything for a long time, you let the situation get out of control, and then you ignore the situation. So I feel like a lot of people are just thinking, oh, it's just the drugs. It's drugs. A lot of people are self-medicating. There's a lot of underlying issues here. You know, I talk to a lot of people, the experience these people have had. There's people who speak multiple languages. There's people who have trades. These are not, everyone didn't make the same choices, but you know, they found themselves in the same circumstance. And instead of just dealing with the issues that are causing the problem, you're just trying to almost want to make it bigger.
What would be the best way to help this community?
Well, for myself, in 2005, there wasn't a lot of help for like access to a treatment center or even detox. I what's that called?
Recovery?
I went cold turkey. So I guess I could have gone to treatment, but I really feel that there's just an understanding of the addicts themselves. Because we're all somebody's child, we're all somebody's sister. Right. I'm a mother of 7, but I watched a semi run over my son in 1988, and that's what was my demise.
I see.
You know,
yeah.
And I'm ashamed to say that's what I used my son Wayne's death as. I went right down the dark road, but thank God I got out of it. I'm now 16 years off it.
Congratulations.
Them not doing the street walks, they should do some barbecues down here. Meet the people.
Right.
People love to get helped.
Right. For sure.
But they don't feel like that's what you're bringing them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I know a lot of them like, take the badge off for a bit. Take that F word out there. But anyways, take the badge off, come down, throw a barbecue.
Right.
Hand out food.
Cold water or something.
Cold water, but hang out.
Right.
Don't do a 10-minute walk and everything's pressure. Come down here, hang out, meet the people.
Yeah.
You do that enough, you're a familiar face. Why wouldn't I come to you in a bad situation?
Right.
Now I'm giving you the ability to actually do your job, because right now it's just like there's walls up. So first we got to break down the walls, then we can get to what we got to do, you know?
Yeah, totally. God bless you, bro.
Yo,
much
great. Love, man.
That was great. Yo, what's your name, man?
Jules
Brevner.
Yeah. Oh, no, hey, I listen to your music.
Yeah?
Oh, my God. Yo, sneaky.
Seems to me like no one has a solution for this problem that's been going on in Vancouver. Everyone seems to want to pass the buck and play hot potato with responsibility. What do you think? How do you think we fix this? How do you think we help the people that are down here? Let us know in the comments. Matt Brevner for Rebel News. If you appreciate that Rebel News goes to the places that no one else wants to go and asks the questions that no one else wants to ask, well, we can't do that without your help. So if you'd like to see more reports like this one and many others, please go to rebelfieldreports.com and chip in $1, chip in $20, whatever you can, so we can keep bringing you reports like this. Thanks so much.